Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Geek It Out. I'm yours truly, the Natebot, here for another Geek It Out video. And here today, guys, a bit of a surprise happened. I know, we got the Back to the Future stuff. You know, that was pretty cool, right? I was so hyped up. So I had to do another video because this has to be discussed. The Rey and D-O 6-scale figure has hit low stock, finally, at Sideshow. The reason why I want to discuss this is because Rey and D-O, it's a very weird situation. It's a very controversial figure because one, it's a good figure, solid figure, one of the best from Star Wars, right? Well, is it one of the best? It's I guess one of the best from the sequel trilogy, I guess. Other than Kylo, that was a perfection, and you could tell that Kylo was a lot more sought after because of all the pre-orders it made during the past year before its release. Like hell, like the pre-orders for Kylo were past Rey. Rey was a bottom feeder, and that's the reason why I want to bring this up. Not many people aren't fans of Rey after what happened with the sequel trilogy, so not many pre-orders, you know. So this figure ended up selling out quickly at HK, right? Because not many pre-orders and not much production. So why would Hottoys put a lot more effort into this? And I think that's the reason why the figure suffered its head sculpt. The original, not this head sculpt right here, because this head sculpt is just a prototype. The newest one from Hottoys, the final production head sculpt, is freaking beautiful, but it's not perfection yet. It's beautiful though. It's good. Good effort. I think the pre-orders affected that perfection. I think they could have gone even further, kind of like what they did with Kylo. But they sold more money signs from Kylo, which, you know, makes sense because the pre-orders were there for it. Like the pre-orders were doing well for Kylo. As far as Rey concerned, Rey, what I see in value is the accessories, like the droid, like the Nobi said. I spoke with the Nobi. The Nobi mentioned this a while back when he was unboxing his Rey in our stream about a month ago. And he was, you know, showcasing D-O, the droid. And he loves collecting D-Os. And he feels that D-O will be a sought-after piece. Plus the other accessories as well, like the Leia lightsaber, the actual Rey's lightsaber from the final film. Like, they did a lot of extra accessories for this figure on top of the price being $243. That's freaking awesome. This was a steal. This was a deal steal. For a solid figure, a solid head sculpt, and extra accessories for $243, out of your damn minds if they weren't going to pick this up. Now, I understand for your hate for the sequel trilogy and you didn't want to pick up the Rey, I understand. But we have come to it at last that Rey and D-O hit the low stock. And I want to analyze this. Like, why did it hit low stock remaining? Why did it? Just why? I feel that it's a mixture of not enough pre-orders, not enough stocks, extra stocks that were made. I feel those were the reasons. Now, people are saying, what about the hype? I don't believe the hype was there to begin with for Rey. The hype wasn't there. The hype was more into Kylo, right? And that hype generated a lot more figures for Kylo. You know, that makes sense. A lot more figures for Kylo were put out because of the hype and the pre-orders. As far as Rey is concerned, the hype did not build her up, unfortunately. She was still down the pre-orders. She may have gained some pre-orders, some lines up, if I remember, possibly, but she was still a bottom feeder. And the thing is, Hottoys has already made their productions for this, so they've already put these out. They weren't going to make any more. They weren't going to extend the productions or pre-orders for these. All right, they made what they made. They pretty much they pretty much learned their lesson with what happened with The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. They overproduced a lot of those figures, and they stayed for years. Hell, when I started 2 years ago at 2019, at the beginning of 2019, when I made my first pre-order of the Hulkbuster, you can still get most, if not all, of the freaking Last Jedi figures. The only ones you could not get were the patrolling guards. They were already sold out. Of course, they were already sold out. It's the royal guards of the Last Jedi. Those were pretty much the only things that were survivable, honestly, out of the team of out of most, not hell, like half of was survivable, for the Last Jedi line. Everybody else was, a lot of hate from the film created that, displeasure on purchasing these figures. And I know, like every time I looked at those figures, I was like, why did I want to pick up a Kylo? Why did I want to pick up a Rey? And honestly, I personally, at one point, I was like, you know what? I wish I picked up the Last Jedi Rey, because the Last Jedi Rey looked a lot better than the Rey we saw for Rise of Skywalker. But the Rise of Skywalker, I'm like, yes, this Rey is really good. I'm still going to get the Rey. It's not Rey's fault with how the story ended up. And I like the character. I do like the character, and I'm still going to pick her up. You'll be out of your damn mind not picking her up, because this Rey might rise up in price because it's so limited. But another thing what people need to understand as well, Mandalorian is a whole different animal. There are still figures that are in stock that didn't sell out yet. A lot of it are Mandalorian figures, because the Mandalorian figures are overproduced. But you know why they're overproduced? Because people were pre-ordering like hell. I spoke to Sideshow about this. I spoke to Sideshow, and I was like, okay, so guys, what are the numbers? What are you looking at? I remember they talked about almost 30,000, 25,000, 30,000 pre-orders on the freaking Deluxe Mando alone. And then a few months, literally a few months later, but a week ago, I spoke to Sideshow again, talked about the Scout Trooper speeder bike for Mandalorian. And I was wondering about that myself. Like, okay, so I already have one right here. It's a big giant box right here. I wonder if I can pull it right here. It's freaking 20 inches of freaking badassery right here. Look at that. It's cool. So that's right there, right? Pick those up. And I was wondering, I wanted to get a second one, of course. I wanted to get a second one because I want to have my points and my awards ready. So I spoke with them, and they told me that they have plenty of Scout Troopers. And that makes a lot of sense. With all the pre-orders, Hottoys wanted to put out a lot more of these Scout Troopers out there. And I feel that Mandalorian became the next Marvel figures. Like the Marvel line, they made Hottoys made so many of the Marvel line, it takes literally 1 to 2 years tops, sometimes 3 to sell out, because they overproduced. And they overproduced because they're selling. I've always been saying this, that Hottoys is not in the game for limited figures anymore. They are overproducing to meet the demand. And if the demand is there, they're going to keep overproducing because the demand is there. And the same thing is going for the Mandalorian figures. As far as Kylo and Rey and the Rise of Skywalker line, Hottoys made the bare minimum. They only met what the demand wanted. And that's why Rey and D-O are starting to sell out. Now, Rey and D-O are pretty much slated to sell out normally for a Star Wars Hot Toy. For years, Star Wars Hot Toys, they weren't sitting around. A lot of these characters were not sitting around. They were selling out. Like the villains, they sold out. The Rogue Ones, they were selling out. The Troopers, they were selling out. The only ones that weren't selling out were the mainstays, the main characters, like Luke Skywalker, the Emperor. Hell, I got a chance 2 years ago, starting out collecting, 2019. I bought pretty much most of my Return of Jedi line. So, like, I'm seeing that Hot Toys is following more of the hype when it comes to overproducing figures, because they know that it will buy out, it won't sit. And also, people in HK, they're buying these out as well. Like hell, the Scout Troopers were selling out over there, and they kept making more. And then and the Mandalorians as well, the Mandalorian Deluxe, because there was literally people selling Mandalorian Deluxes for resale, right? For twice the resale because it wasn't getting over here in time. to Sideshow. So they were reselling it for twice the price. So unfortunately, what had happened to the Rise of Skywalker is the lack of hype for it and lack of hype for pre-orders. So as far as what's going on with Rey and D-O, just be prepared. Like it still hasn't sold out yet. So try and figure out if you still need this in your collection. I know there's people out there that won't. And people, probably you want to get your Rey and D-O with your Kylo and set that up properly if you want to for your display case. I'm getting this because I don't have a Rey and I don't have a Kylo. So I'm getting both of them. Because it's going to be damn hard to get me a Rey and D-O after this sells out. Because it's such a limited figure. And resellers love limited figures. The more limited, the more money they can throw in. The higher the price, the higher the resell. The limited the figure, the higher the resell. That's what they'll do. That's what they'll do. 1,000 weapons on that. 9,000 freaking weapons on that. But also, another thing I wanted to bring up, guys, this is another figure that you might want to pick up as well. If they're going to show us some flashbacks with the Ronin, with Hawkeye, dude, this guy is pretty cool. Like, it took me forever to get that zipper on, to get this freaking zipper on, but it's freaking nice, not going to lie. And I was able to get the sword, cross guard like that. I think that's fine. I think I could work it out later. It's one of my favorite figures right now because of what you can do with it. I need to figure out where I'm going to put it in my EndGame display. But the one thing I wanted to also look at, guys, is what's going on at the Sideshow site with the pre-orders and all that jazz. If we see some of the brand new orders from Back to the Future, I don't think Sideshow will have these up right now because it was just a big surprise. Let me see. Let me see if they did. Sorry, give me a minute. It's singing forever. Okay, nothing yet. All right, so I won't hit up on pre-orders. Let's hit on available now. Oh my god, 124 pre-orders. You out of your damn mind. 124 damn pre-orders. Newest best. Okay, let's go to bestsellers. All right, so the Mandalorian Deluxes and the Mandalorians are overproduced. Now, this is going to be interesting. The Clone Trooper battalions. I believe that the collector editions are going to sell out before the deluxe editions because not many people pre-order the deluxe editions. Not many people pre-order the collector editions because everybody wants to go for the deluxe edition. So they're going to overproduce on the deluxe editions. But the thing is, do not play around with the deluxe editions. Do not play around with the 501st. Because as we know, stormtroopers and clone troopers, they don't last long. They don't last long. Even if this is overproduced, people are going to continue buying them until there's none left because they're army building. You know how many people out there got 6 to 24 of these? It's out of their damn minds. So you don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to be in that situation where you got to spend, if you missed out on battalion clone troopers, you got to spend 3 times the amount for just one figure. Damn. And you see Rey's almost gone. Kylo is going to be interesting. No blue check mark yet. Kylo's going to maybe last another month or two before selling out. Hell, Kylo, if they overproduce it, he might last for the entire year. But I'd say a month or two because I think this came out in the beginning of the year. So that makes it about 5 to 6 months. If Rey came out in May and Kylo came out in April, that will make it about 5 months. And then you guys know the original Hawkeye is waitlisted. So the deluxe version is the only one you got left. So do not sit upon that. I'm just going through these figures for you guys, just giving you my thoughts like I used to. I rarely do this anymore because I just haven't had the time. I just haven't had time. I haven't even had the time to do videos with Dawn Prime. But since I want to talk about Rey and I'm awake, I just wanted to share my thoughts. And I know a lot of people were not a lot of people, but Exotic Carfax was hitting me up literally this morning about the Nobi and Optical saying that Rey wouldn't sell out. No. It's not that it wasn't going to sell out. It was like in the beginning, Optical 20 mentioned that a lot of people were hyping up Rey being the figure that would Rey and Kylo to being the figure to sell out before hitting add to cart, before hitting stocks, because of the hype of the head sculpt and the hype of the accessories and figures. At the end of the day, it never happened. Here we are, yes, and here we are in the stream from Wednesday's 7-hour stream, and they were agreeing together that hey, yes, there was so much hype going on, but the hype wasn't meeting the standards of what people were thinking that was going to happen. That the speculation that these were going to sell out before they add the cart. So there's a lot of fear of missing out moments there. But that's pretty much what happened, and then it led to the Nobi believing that it was going to sit, which the original Kylo and Rey sat. But the reason why they sat, I think, is it was a mixture of overproduction and people not wanting to buy the figure. That's the reason why it sat around. And I think a push to buy those Reys and Kylo was because of the poor prototypes that came out for Rise of Skywalker. So that's the reason why they finally freaking sold out. Because I think I could have bought the Rey and Kylo from last. I could have bought a lot of Last Jedi figures. I just did not want to. The only one I do actually regret though is the Leia. I think it would have been nice to pick up an older Leia, but I was just so mad with the Last Jedi. The only one I wanted to get was Luke Crate, because that was the only freaking opportunity we had, the closest opportunity we had to get a Legends / Expanded Universe Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker at his prime. That was the closest. Other than we got it from Mandalorian, which, thank you, John Farrell and Dave Filoni. Thank you. So you see what I'm looking at here? A lot of overproduction Marvel figures. And I feel Mandalorian is hitting that mark. Hell, the only time Star Wars gets overproduced is either Mandalorian right now or the Boba Fett's reissues. They just continue putting out reissues of Boba Fett and Darth Vader's. And that's when they overproduce figures. Hell, this was a reissue. This was a reissue with a 40th anniversary packaging. Okay. Then hell, waitlisted Thor is the second batch of pre-orders that I managed to get mine. So that was pretty cool with the second batch pre-orders. So I that's what I've been saying is that the limited game isn't there anymore. I feel that Hottoys will continue overproducing figures. As hell, the Incinerator Stormtrooper lasted longer than the Remnant Troopers. I think the reason why the Remnant Troopers and the Death Troopers didn't last as long is because, one, army building, and two, the fact that they didn't start pre-ordering them until the hype started. When the hype started, that's when people started buying a whole bunch of these. And I think it's going to be the same freaking barrel coming down the freaking hill. Barrel Rider coming down the freaking hill with all the hype towards Mandalorian. And I feel Hottoys, like they did with the Scout Trooper, they're going to overproduce. And that's going to be about it. See, Darth Maul lasted for a bit as well. This was the Solo DX. And I'm surprised it lasted that long, because I thought it was actually going to sell out like Solo. Like the Mud Trooper Solo. I thought it was going to sell out that quickly. I was surprised how long it lasted. And then, of course, like, again, remember, guys, not only we got to experience some of the, pre-order waitlists sometimes, but it's just selected figures. Like what happened with Cody. They like that's a perfect example of what Hottoys is doing. Like Sideshow opened up more batches out for Cody pre-orders. That's what they did. And Hottoys like, execute Order 66 on that. They produce a lot more Codys, for the pre-orders. And those who missed out, I feel sorry for you guys. Now, a lot of people are saying, will Rex, will that happen to Rex? I don't know. Because from what I said before, Rex, when Rex came up to pre-order, there were friends of mine, people that kept canceling their Codys because Rex came out for pre-order, came out for announcement, and they just canceled straight out. So there's a lot of hype for Rex. Hell, Rex has been the one thing I've always said about Rex, right? The one thing I've always said about Rex was that Rex had followed the same trend like Cody. The only difference in that, because Rex and Cody were on top of the food chain, the top 5 lines, top of the food chain, Cody, for pre-orders. The one difference that Captain Rex had is that Rex never went to waitlist during pre-orders. What that tells me is that they're opening the floodgates for pre-orders from Hot Toys. Hot Toys is not canceling the apocalypse on Captain Rex. They're leaving the gate open, and pre-orders are just freaking funneling in. So will Rex last for a bit? I think Rex is going to last longer than Cody. If not, then it'll only last for a month, because Cody only lasted after it hit add to cart. I think it only lasted for 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I know Penny's going to answer that question correctly, but between 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks. But anyway, guys, I think that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about, how I felt about what happened to Rey, and share with you guys what's going on with Rey. And that's what I feel. I feel that it's just there's no hype for her, so the pre-orders weren't there anymore. They're not pre-orders, but the numbers weren't there for her. So no one bought them, and no one pre-ordered them, and there was not enough stock for people that were coming in, new collectors or collectors that had a second chance. Like, what? Let me get a Rey because I got a Kylo, and then the numbers started dwindling little by little, and then we got the thing is, Hot Toys for Star Wars, just like DC, there was a shelf life between 4 to 6 months for retail, right? And they sold out between 4 to 6 months. That's usually the range for Hot Toys for Star Wars, especially for villains. Villains, it was 3 to 4 months, and some of the other characters were about 4 to 6 months. But then we had the hype for Clone Wars and hype for Mandalorian. I think it's changing the game now. I think that Hot Toys is starting to overproduce on certain lines that they know will do well, and they won't sit around anymore. So, things might change. Hype always changes. Hype decides to go elsewhere. Hype decides they want to stay a little longer. Honestly, for me, I create my own hype. I buy my own damn figures that I want, that I love. I'll get what I love. I'll buy what I love. And if I'm hyped for a figure, I'm hyped for a figure. But I'm just sharing my thoughts on which figures will sell out, which ones you want to try and pick up before, the eventful 5-minute blue screen. For example, Heavy Mando. I told you guys the pre-orders weren't great for Heavy Mando, and people, missed the boat on that. The pre-orders weren't great on that, and he only lasted for a few weeks, kind of like what happened with Cody. But anyway, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. I wanted to hear your thoughts about how you felt about Rey. Why did she end up hitting low stock? Why is she not, lasting longer? I think the reason why there's not enough stock for her after the pre-orders, and Hot Toys cut the production on most of the Rise of Skywalker stuff. They don't want these to sit around, so it makes sense. And hey, I don't blame them. I don't blame Hot Toys following hype, following the money. But I'm also happy that what they're giving us with the Back to the Future line, classic figures. I want to see more of that. I want to see more, and I appreciate that, Hot Toys. Anyway, guys, if you're new to the channel, please hit a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content we're putting out. We do hit when we do hit 2,000 subscribers, we are giving away a few things. When we do, it's going to be a cool live stream. Don has a few things. I might have a few things. We'll see what happens. Chris has a few things as well. So it should be a lot of fun. And also, our streams are pretty much at 6 p.m. Eastern, going to 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. And it goes a little bit longer on Wednesdays, depending if I got to go to work on Wednesdays. And on Sundays, it's actually 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 8:20. But that's the days I got to go to work, though, on Sundays. Anyway, guys, I love to hear your thoughts down below. And remember, we're just simple collectors trying to make our way in this galaxy. May the weapons be with you, always.